Welcome to the second ever episode of Basha Table Talk, Basha's lowest budget sports podcast here at the Basha Bear Network. I'm Jayden Ricken, sports broadcaster and commentator for the Basha Bear Network.
And I'm Gavin Wilson, anchor for the Basha Bear Network and avid sports fan.
We want to thank you guys for tuning into our second ever episode, and another thank you for all of the great feedback we got on our first episode. We got tons of comments and likes and feedback from you guys, and we're going to take all of that feedback and just make this an even better show every week from here on out, Gavin.
We're going to go ahead and try and make it the most enjoyable show that you guys can watch and listen to.
I think this show's just going to get better over time, so continue your guys' feedback at our Instagram or Twitter. We love it all. And today, though, we have an even better show. We have a special guest here. We won't reveal who yet, but he is huge in the sports broadcasting world in Arizona. It's going to be a great, insightful interview. You guys are really going to learn about him. It's going to be amazing, Gavin.
You're just going to have to stick around and wait for it, you know?
But before we get to that, we also need to talk about high school sports. High school sports have been huge here in Basha especially, but overall, high school sports have grown all over the country. And with spring sports right around the corner, we have tons to get into today with that as well. And a new segment that you're going to be doing, Gavin, that's going to be one of the best segments we've had. Now, to be fair, it'll be one of our first segments we've had on the show. Yeah. But it'll be a classic that hopefully you guys can tune into every time we have a show and just wait for that segment. That's going to be the one you come here for.
It'll be a nice surprise for you.
And finally, before we get into the show, we have advertising space open here on Table Talk. If you guys have an advertisement or would like us to make an advertisement for you, reach out to us like we said on our Twitter or Instagram. We will gladly respond to you, answer any questions, comments, concerns you may have. We want to show your guys' ads, and we would love to just talk with you. If you have any questions at all, just reach out. It's a great space to advertise.
All right, come on, Jayden. I'm eager to get into the beef of our episode.
All right, well, let's get into it today then, Gavin. First off, we have Basha baseball and high school baseball just started. Now, they've been practicing kind of year-round, but today Basha has their first scrimmage against Liberty here at home. It's going on as we speak, so we won't know the score until after this, but Basha baseball has been a very talented group these past 10 years or so. They've had plenty of players go over to college. One of them right now is going to Harvard next year. He got a scholarship to go play there, which, I mean, that's crazy. Harvard,
like we go to school with this kid, man. It's crazy.
Gavin is going to do great things over there at Harvard, I'm sure. I mean, he's an academic student as well, and that's something that Basha baseball's tried to foster is that student-athlete relationship. And I see a lot of kids there who, even if they don't end up going to the MLB or something, they're going to have a great college experience.
Yeah, and, you know, I think they've faced off well against Hamilton this year, definitely. And the past few years, Hamilton's been a powerhouse, and I think Basha's definitely one of those teams that's going to be a contender for the state title.
You could definitely say that again. And somebody else here at Basha who has been a state champion several times is our softball team.
Oh, yeah, man.
They won state last year, and they won, I believe, the year before. Now, correct me if I'm wrong there, but if not, they won last year, and they are just one of the best softball teams in the state. And they have a lot of returning players this year. They're looking to go back-to-back with another championship run. And they're just such a talented squad of girls out there, and they're practicing as well today. They don't have a scrimmage. If you guys haven't ever seen softball players practice, go watch it at some time. It is so impressive and just such a wonderful sport. I mean, people think sometimes that, oh, it's not as hard as baseball. No, those girls go out there, and they are working hard.
It's definitely up to par, you know, and they smack the heck out of the ball, man.
You could definitely say that.
They do. They try getting it out of the park every single time. They go out there, try their hardest, man. And it's so fun to watch them because, you know, you go to school with them and you just watch them play their hardest out there and you're like, man, like this is a state title team, you know?
Definitely. Softball is one of our best sports here at Basha, and we will continue to update you guys on that and the softball scene in Arizona over the next few weeks on our podcast. But for our final Basha sport of this week, boys basketball began their playoff run 2 nights ago on Wednesday. They have their second playoff game tonight, and they smoked them on Wednesday. It was
45-point differential. Man, that is just insane.
It was a complete blowout. The Bears have had huge momentum games these past few weeks. They beat Perry at home on
I think that really started it all right there.
Definitely. I mean, beating them, who you haven't beat in 7 years on your second-to-last game of the season, that was just such a big win. I mean, the entire school was there pretty much. It was just
they had the house rocking, you know, battle for Val Vista and all, you know, and they winning that first time 7-8 years, you know, for Coach Growhouse. I think that's a huge accomplishment.
It definitely was, and That wasn't all, though, because then their next game, their final regular season game, their senior night was against Chandler, and that was another blowout, 50 points. Everybody was getting shots, and the team chemistry when we looked at that game was just off the charts. Everybody was getting shots, passes, they were communicating well. Everybody was just playing so close like a family, and I think that we've seen that in this first playoff game, and I think we'll see it again tonight, how strong these bonds have formed with that team.
They're starting to come alive right now, and this is the best time to start awakening, Like right where the playoffs start, that's when you get hot. That's when you can make your deep run for the state title.
I think so, and after they lost last year, very close to the championship game, they're definitely going back again this year. I don't think there's anybody that can stand in their way. Some people might say Perry, but I would disagree at this point.
They proved that they can beat Perry. They can beat the best of the best, Coop. They can beat them. And I think they're coming back on a revenge tour, They're coming back with a vengeance.
I definitely think so. They're trying to follow in the footsteps of, Basha football, come out, get a championship win. They're a championship team. I could definitely see them in the Open this year, in the final championship game. It'll be fun to watch. But do you know what time it is, Gavin?
I think I do, Jayden.
It's time for the Burnt Bear Take of the Week. Now, for everybody who doesn't know, because this is our first time ever doing it, and unless you're telepathic, you would have no way of knowing, but the Burnt Bear Take of the Week is our new segment here on Table Talk, where Gavin is going to be giving his hottest sports take of the week. Whether it's high school, college, or professional, it's going to be his most spicy, his most controversial take, and then we're just going to kind of debate about it. And if you guys have any feedback on it, you want us to change some things or add some things, or you have some topics you want to reach out to us about, leave a comment down below, and we will definitely look at those. But now for the first ever Burnt Bear Take of the Week. Gavin, what's your hot take?
This hot take, this is going to be a spicy one. I think with Raheem Morris at the helm, the Atlanta Falcons are a dark horse contender for Super Bowl next year. I think they are.
You think the Falcons are going back to the Super Bowl?
I think they will. And I would say the team they have now is more talented than the one they had in 2017. I really do think so.
Without Matty Ice? Really?
Now, Desmond Ridder may not be the guy, but they got Bijan, they have Kyle Pitts, they have, Drake London. They have so many talented young pieces on offense, and their defense is only going to get better with Grady Jarrett, young players and veterans that are going to lead the team into a title run. I think with a competent head coach, they're doing exactly what the Texans have, and the Falcons are going to make a deep run in the playoffs next year.
A deep run. Well, you heard it here first, so when we come back here in 9-10 months or so, you guys can fact check us on that. I definitely don't see the Falcons even making the wild card round, but
wow,
no way. I think there's just
I expect to see them in New Orleans at the Caesar Dome next year.
Okay, all right. To each their own, Gavin. I just don't see that. I think there's way too much competition in that division right now. I don't see any other team.
Really?
I don't see any other team letting up their hold right now.
The Panthers are dead asleep right now. I think this is the time to take the NFC South.
Well, Bryce Young he'll have a pop-out year this year.
Oh, really? Bryce Young. Okay.
Hey,
if he can see past his O-line, man, I don't think he will.
You're not that tall yourself. Come on, be fair.
Me and him are the same height, And he's an NFL guy, so
you go out there for him.
All right.
I'd like to see you do better.
I probably could, C.J. Stroud, look what he did. He was picked after him, and he's done wonders. I think quadrupled his stats this year.
Well, once again, if you guys have any feedback, that's our first ever Burnt Bear Take of the Week.
Put it down in the notes.
The Atlanta Falcons are going all the way to Super Bowl 59. I don't see it, but that's Gavin's hot take of the week. If you guys thought that was a hot, spicy take, let us know. Maybe it wasn't hot enough.
Let me know if you agree or disagree. I hope you guys agree, because I think I'm right.
He's definitely not. Unfortunately, Gavin, while we say goodbye to you, it's been a pleasure. It's time to reveal our special guest. Today, on Table Talk, for our second ever episode, we will be bringing on Coop, the Arizona Sports Hall of Fame legend. He's coming on, and we're going to ask him what his career was like, what's he doing now, what was it like in the industry, and we're also going to get some of his sports takes and opinions like yourself.
I'm real excited to watch it, man.
Gavin, it's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. I'll see you guys next time.
We're live with Coop. He's here on Table Talk, your first ever time. in the Arizona Sports Hall of Fame now. I remember I was walking around my house, and my grandma was actually watching the news when it came up, and I saw you on there. I texted our teacher, and I was like, hey, this is your guy, this is Coop. And she's like, oh, yeah, I know. So, Coop, how does it feel to be in the Arizona Sports Hall of Fame?
Jayden, let me tell you something. When I got in the industry, the business, 37 years ago, I put in 34 years at 12 News, NBC Phoenix, I never dreamt for one moment that my name would be in the same sentence with Hall of Fame. I mean, when I got the call, they're letting me know that I've been nominated and I'm being accepted into the Arizona Broadcasters Hall of Fame. I'm asking the guy, I said, well, are you sure you got the right guy? Oh, yeah. Are you sure you in the selection committee didn't have a cocktail or two too many? So we're kind of laughing about it. But, yeah, I mean, it's nothing that ever came into my mind or my thought process. And to know the names that are already in there and the class of people that I went in with, you talk about a humbling experience. I was very humbled and honored at the same time. I mean, wow, are you kidding me? Me in the Hall of Fame? Please stop it.
Come on. So then let's start here. How did you get into broadcasting? Where did you start? What were your roots? Like, where did you come from?
I'm a native Arizonan, and like so many young kids that grow up and have an affinity for sports, hey, I want to be a professional player just like everyone else did. All those young kids, you have those dreams growing up, last second shot, you're the hero, this, that, and the other. I had all those dreams, and yet when reality came about that I'm not that good, well, I said, I'm going to college. Why don't I just try and do something around sports that I love? And so that's where broadcasting came into play. My uncle actually gave me the idea about doing it. And so I went to Arizona State University, Walter Cronkite School of Broadcasting, of Journalism. I mean, that's where I got my start. I got an internship with NBC Phoenix, and I never left. I mean, the crazy thing is that, your internship is only scheduled to last one semester. Well, mine lasted that semester, but I impressed the talent, the sports guys there so much that they requested, they asked me to do a second one. And after the end of the year, they actually kind of created a part-time job for me there just to keep me around. And so, it wasn't anything that I did that was extraordinary. It was just that I was a hard worker. I mean, even though I'm not a full-time employee there, I mean, people around there thought I was because they saw me there all the time. And so my thought process going in was that, okay, I got a foot in the door. I'm going to steal their knowledge. I'm going to steal as much. And so I had to invest the time. And so, yeah, they gave me a window of hours, like maybe 3 hours that I've scheduled. No, I stayed way beyond that. I stayed until everyone went home. I'd come in on the weekends early. I mean, I'm not scheduled to come in. But I did all those things because not that I was trying to impress them, but I was trying to steal as much knowledge as I could from them before my internship ended. And look, I had no idea I was impressing them at the same time.
Clearly, I mean, you're just incredible at your job. Your work ethic is unmatched, it sounds like. When you applied for that scholarship, or that, I guess, not scholarship, but
the
internship per se, what was it like for you to know that you got that second semester, that second part?
Well, the second internship was easy because they requested it through Arizona State University. The first time I had to submit. And there are prerequisites going in there. I mean, if you think you can go and sign up and be an intern and have a GPA under 3, you're sadly mistaken. I mean, there are certain prerequisites that are required. And so knowing the prerequisites going in, hey, man, it made me become a better student. I'm making sure that my GPA never gets in and around that 3. I needed a little bit higher. So there are certain things you do to become a better student to make sure you're in position to get that initial internship.
How competitive was it to get the internship? Were there a lot of people going out for it?
Oh, absolutely. And even to this day, you have the ABC, the NBC, the CBS, and the Fox affiliates. And that's just on the TV side. And also there's Channel 33 as well. And so that's just on the TV side, but they also have them for radio and for print. And so there are internships available for every one of those stations, every one of the radio stations, every one of the print issues that are out there. And so what you do is they have like what we call a symposium where everyone has a rep, like the NBC station have a rep, ABC, CBS, the radio station, everyone has a rep. And so you go in and you interview with them. The interns that have been acknowledged, they interview with them. And so then what happens is you rate your interview, or who did you like the most that you interviewed with? And then they'll rate you, and then they'll try to match you up with those numbers. And yeah, it's very competitive, very competitive.
How would you suggest for somebody to get into that business if it is so competitive?
Well, my recommendation would be to, once you have met all the prerequisites, and that means being a good student, having the good grades and everything, don't go in, and because there are interns that just kind of look for the grade, if you will. If you're just looking for the grade and not really aspire to go beyond that, then it's not for you. Because I've had interns that come in, they're only interested in their grade. And so to me, that was a waste of time, and you could see that. We say, well, gee, that intern's not too interested. It's not. They make excuses for, I got this, I can't come in. Hey, I got this, I got that appointment. No, you make yourself available, even when you aren't available. And it's making an impression. That first impression that you're making, once you get your foot inside the door, it's important. It means a lot. And let me tell you something. The broadcast industry is different from any other out there. If you want to go work for Intel or General Motors, whatever, a lot of times you have to go in and actually physically fill out an application. There's no filling out any applications in the TV world or the media world. It's getting that foot in the door and making an impression. And so that foot that you get in the door, that's your interview. That's where you have to shine. And then you let your work ethic and your demeanor, which has to be one that, okay, you don't say no. You learn to say no. Learn to never say no. Because they're going to ask you, hey, and they're going to give you some tedious jobs. Hey, can you put in all the files for this game here, or can you do whatever? It's just a lot of tedious work. And it's, absolutely. Hey, can you come in on the weekend and maybe work with our photographer and be his little go-be? Oh, sure. Whatever they ask, it's yes. If you don't say no, you got a good chance to advance your career.
A lot of sacrifices. Then you
got my gosh, please, yes, absolutely.
Holidays, weekends, Saturday nights.
And even this. Let's say you're a student from out of state and you're here and you're at Arizona State University and you want to go back home for the holidays. Well, I've had interns like this that come up to me and say, hey Coop, I want to go home for the holidays, but I also would love to be able to be here for the ASU bowl game. Is there any way that I can maybe come along? And if so, I'll cancel my plans to go back home for Christmas. Dude, you know what? Oh no, I will. So those are the people that start to stand out. People that start to make sacrifices. People that want to be a part, that you see that have a thirst or hunger to be a part of the industry. Those are the people that, when their internship is over, I will go up to them personally and I'll say, hey, look, if you want to use me as a reference, I'll be proud to be somebody that you can put on your resume, and I'll be a reference for you. But it's only because I'm impressed by what I've seen. If you don't impress me, not going to happen. And so I can't stress it enough. If you get a foot in the door, you need to make that your best interview ever, even though it's not really technically an interview. But it'll pay dividends. Sure, absolutely.
It's your one shot. And then out of college, out of your internship when you continued to work with the networks? What was that like? Did you stay with one network? Were you with more?
I was a one-stop shopper. I worked for NBC Phoenix my entire 34 years. I did have job offers and opportunities to go elsewhere, but everything worked out for me at NBC Phoenix. I've even had like the general managers come back and say, "Hey, I'll match whatever they're offering you to keep you here." And so you only do that by making impressions. But I'll tell you, when I first started, when they made me a full-time employee, man, I'm telling you, I thought I was in the wrong business, because as an intern, I'm working with or assisting like the executive producer or the sports producer or the weekend sports producer. I'm assisting them. When they gave me the job as a weekend sports producer, I didn't have anybody else, but it was on me. And so they asked me to actually fill in for the weekday producer because he was going back home for the holidays. So for the 4 o'clock, the 5 o'clock, and the 6 o'clock sportscast, and there's a 10 o'clock. Yeah, those were, I had to produce those. And let me tell you something. When the red light comes on, it's showtime. There's no such thing as, I don't have it, I'm not ready. You learn that. And let me tell you something. I felt like for that whole week that I filled in for the main producer that week, I felt like I was on roller skates. I'd come in extra early to help prepare, but I'll be darned, between the 4, 5, and 6, my heart, you talk about heart palpitations, you talk about sweating. Man, I felt like I was on roller skates every day. Yeah, I have to beat that red light. I have to be ready. My sports guys are going on. We have to be in sync, have to have all their material ready. And thankfully, but through the grace of God, Monday through Friday, I got it all done. And so when the main guy came back, they're saying, hey, Coop was great. We don't even need you. They were that impressed, but if they only knew. And so let me tell you something. I knew. So I started putting in applications at other places, because I said, I can't do this. I just knew I couldn't do this. I can't do this every day. These deadlines are too much for me. I can't do this. The stress is too much. So I started putting in job applications around the valley, and I put in. I remember I put in one at Coca-Cola. Yeah, I did. Because
business.
Yeah. Because they are the ones that called me back 6 months later. They called me and said, "Hey, we got that job for you. We'll have it." But see, here's the deal. I wasn't going to quit until I had another job. If Coca-Cola had called me a month, 2 months, or 3 months later, I'd have said bye-bye to Channel 12, NBC Phoenix. I'm out. I can't handle this. But they didn't. They called 6 months later. So the more you do anything with a lot of repetitions, the better you become at it. So the fact that every day that's going by, day after day, week after week, month after month, the stress levels started to come down. I started to get a better hang of it. I knew I could deal with it. And so I said, when Coca-Cola called, and I said, "Oh, man, I got this." I said, "Well, I did go to school for this. I did put in my hard work for that. So I'm going to stay with it because I can handle the stress levels now." But yeah, dude, I'm telling you, I promise you to this day, if Coca-Cola had made a call within 3 months of me putting an application, I'm there.
You would have been, wow. Could you imagine? I mean, just working at Coca-Cola the last 30 years.
Yeah, it would have been quite a different career for me.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm telling you, there's and so now again, just to tell you what reps mean. I could have interns to come in. Let's say I'm doing a Friday Night Fever show, high school football show. Basha Bears are playing the Liberty Lions, let's say. I mean, and I got to go down to do the show at 11:35, right after Leno is off or whatever. And so I'm ready to do the show, but like someone hasn't brought the Basha Bear Liberty highlights in yet. So they're all stressing. I'm going down there. Okay, whenever you get it, and they just can't believe how calm I am. They're more nervous for me for the show because I don't have all all the highlights. I don't even have the shot sheets or anything for the game. But I'm not stressing. Why? Because I put in so much time over the years. I can ad lib. You roll those highlights. I can tell you who DeMond Williams is. I know who Cole Martin is. Hey, I can do those things and not get too rattled or too uptight. But that's the type of stress that you can deal with trying to get into this industry. I mean, look, I've gone down on the set when games are still in going into overtime now. They're not over. So how are you going to handle it? I mean, it's my lead story. Now I can't run the highlights because of the rules. You can't air the highlights till the network or the game is completed on that other network. And so, how are you going to handle it? Well, I've been through this so many times. It's a piece of cake. So anybody that's starting into in the industry of media, there are a lot of ad lib opportunities. There are a lot of opportunities that could bring a lot of stress. And so I can't tell you anything other than experience. Experience is the best teacher. And you'll get there. So, but don't get to the point to where you're saying, "Oh, this is too much for me. I can't do it," because I've been there, and you can.
That is, wow, just a great message to everybody out there. Any field, media or not, just sticking with it and not giving up. Or who knows, maybe you'll end up working at Coca-Cola instead of being in the Broadcasting Hall of Fame. You never know. For you, was Friday Night Fever, when you started that, was that one of your best memories throughout your long-lasting career?
Yeah, actually, it really is. I felt like it was my baby. It's something that I kept pressing with the news director that I felt that we should get into, we should do. Let's do a high school football show, and so they finally relented and did it, and so I took a lot of personal pride in it. But I'll tell anybody that's getting into the industry as well, because I also ran into a lot of people that had egos. Egos you'll find are really big in the media. There's some people that try to make themselves bigger than the sport or the athletes or coaches that they're covering, and so that will get you a ticket out sooner than later. See, it's unusual to last in a marketplace for as long as I did. It's very unusual. So, but I got a lot of people to thank, because I learned from them, and I learned to check my ego at the door. I can now go to my phone, and the Rolodex of athletes I have in there, from Barkley to Larry Fitzgerald. I mean, and Shane Doan. It's big, and they just don't give you numbers unless they trust you. And so that's getting me to the point that I'm giving to you. Integrity and honesty, it means the most. Those things are huge in the media world. You can be critical of someone, and players or coaches, they know that, as long as you are honest. And if you're not trying to make yourself bigger than the story. Oh, I said, no. It's cover it the right way and do it with integrity. You do that, I guarantee you're going to last longer than the 34 years that I did. But yeah, it's essential. It's huge that you be someone that they can trust. Look, I've covered athletes that I could have done stories that would have not only embarrassed them because I know what they did, because I was there, but I didn't. I said this is not what I got in for. I'm not coming in to bury someone over maybe a poor decision that they've made here. And again, it could have been that I know that they were a part of a DUI sting or whatever. Just whatever. And that's not what I'm there for. And so people learn to trust you when they see that you're not trying to be bigger than the sport or bigger than they are.
It's not all fame and glory and money and being big, right? It's more just being an honest reporter with integrity and maybe not like the Stephen A. Smith types.
Hey, look, it's okay to be opinionated, but and I think because that's one of the ways that I noticed that the industry has evolved or changed. You know, you have consultants, you have news directors that will come and say, look, this TV or radio, whatever the case may be, it's more than just the highlights, more than just the scores. They can get those highlights anywhere, but they can't get your opinions anywhere. So they look for your opinions. And so then if you can be colorful, or if you can be, let's say, outspoken, if you will, let's put it that way, you know, it seems to draw a bigger audience. And so social media has changed the game, the landscape of media so much, it's not even funny. And so you have people who, I don't want to really mischaracterize it, but there are people who, through social media and their following, you know, it's all about how many followers do you have. You know, if you have an inordinate number of followers, then all of a sudden your status has been elevated. Matter of fact, you'll have media people, news directors or consultants say, hey, we need to hire that guy or that young lady because they have this many followers. And so now they may not be as well versed as a media member, let's say yourself, but they have more followers or a higher Q rating than you do. And so they now get the spotlight or the job over you. So yeah, it's changed tremendously from when I started.
That's just crazy. And before we get to like our sports talk, if you were to get into the industry nowadays with your background, without all the followers and stuff, is that something that would even be plausible?
Well, you can get there. You can get a job based on your talent, but they expect you to build a following. So because let's say at 12 News, I'm working at NBC Phoenix, and they hired me because they thought I was they loved my tape that I put out there, and they want to hire me as their lead sports guy. Well, they expect me to build up a local following because they're going to ask me, hey, we got sweeps coming up. We want you to push this promo to your people, to your followers. It's just another form of advertising, another form, a way to get people to tune in and watch. So if you have followers that are this much and you have someone else this big that's coming, man, trust me, you're going to be replaced at some point.
That's just crazy to think about, you know, how the media industry evolves over time.
It's crazy. I mean, influencers can find their way into the media world just based on their following.
I don't know. Who knows? Maybe Table Talk won't even be around in a year or two. You never know. Media might change, and it's all another form of content and different ways to get into the industry. I think that's just so interesting to, you know, have your insight with you being in that industry to how it's changing and what it's continuing to, you know, kind of morph into.
Yeah. Look, I remember when I first started, you know, you always wanted to come up with the breaking story, the big news. You wanted to get the story out before anyone else. Well, nowadays, athletes will put stories out for you. So, you know, it's like, Shaq says that he's retiring, or he's been traded, you know, or just whoever, you know. So now they put out their own breaking news, and so it gives you an earlier chance before your show takes place to get ahead of the story and to follow up and to create. But yeah, social media is unbelievable in how it's evolved or changed the landscape of media today.
Well, I definitely, and hopefully our viewers also appreciate your insight on that, shedding some light on just that whole world that might be foreign to a lot of people out there. Something else I personally want to get your insight on, though, is the NFL, right? The Super Bowl just happened last weekend. The Chiefs bested the Niners for their two-peat. What are your thoughts on that? Was that the outcome you wanted?
Well, I really didn't have a dog in the fight because I'll tell you this. After 34 years of covering the Cardinals, I know. I have an affinity to them. Yeah, a bias, so if they're not in it, I really don't have a dog in the fight, and so it doesn't really matter to me. But in this case here, I covered a kid named Brock Purdy when he was at Perry High School. I know his parents. I know his brother, Chuba, who followed him there. So that gave me someone to root for. Also, Brandon Ayuk was a wide receiver I covered at Arizona State University. He's one of Brock's wide receivers. So that gave me something to root for. But at the same time, I'll say this too. When you have a bias like I do relative to the Cardinals, you learn to hate their division rivals, and San Francisco would be one of those. So again, when I'm sitting back and I'm watching the game and kind of maybe prognosticating beforehand, I see the San Francisco 49ers as having the best team. Top to bottom, they have the better personnel. So I expect the 49ers to win, but then I also see that Kansas City has a number 15. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is the equalizer. I mean, this guy is unbelievable. And so it's one of those deals where it's hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes. So I actually picked Kansas City to win, even though I felt the 49ers were the better team. And what happened? Yes, the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, the Kansas City Chiefs won. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, look, I love football. It hurts me to see the Cardinals flounder the way they do, but I was very impressed with Jonathan Gannon and what he was able to do this past year, even though they had a 4-13 record. Keep in mind their quarterback play was different. I mean, they go out and sign Joshua Dobbs 3 days before the season opener, and he's their starting quarterback. As we all know, Kyler Murray is still rehabbing from an ACL injury. And so they played hard. They competed hard. And so what I saw from them is that, wow, the culture has changed. The effort, the attitude, everything there has changed. So much so that I'm actually, and I hope I'm not being a homer, I actually do believe that the Cardinals, based on what they do in free agency, which starts next month, and in the draft, I think we can see the Cardinals be a playoff team.
Really?
Yeah, I do. Just based on the things I say. But let me tell you something. It's also incumbent upon them to make the right moves in free agency because they have a lot of holes, and the draft. And I'm going to see what Monty Ossenford, the GM, is able to pull off. If he pulls off what he did a year ago, because I mean he had some nice players that were young, that really had some impact on the roster this year. I mean, so if he can do it again, I think they can be that. And so I know people are going to say, Coop, are you drinking the Kool-Aid? Well, look, let me tell you something. Did anyone think that the Houston Texans, I said the Houston Texans would have been a playoff team? Look, they had a rookie quarterback, C.J. Stroud. They made a trade with the Cardinals so they can get Will Anderson, the linebacker from Alabama. And we all saw that they had a rookie head coach in DeMeco Ryans. Well, when they handed out the awards, DeMeco Ryans was Coach of the Year. C.J. Stroud was the Offensive Rookie of the Year. Will Anderson was the Defensive Rookie of the Year. And they were a playoff team, And so anything's possible. So, again, it goes back to if Monty Ossenford can pull all the right strings, because Cardinals I do believe that they have a quarterback that can get them over the top. It's not like they're dealing with something that the Atlanta Falcons, for crying out loud, don't have at quarterback. So,
do you agree with Gavin then?
Yeah, I don't agree with Gavin's take on that now. That's a story for another day.
Hey, who knows? All right, if the Falcons make it, Gavin's
Hey, look. Again, I'll go back to this. They have a new head coach in Raheem Morris. And a new general manager. If they can pull off, let's say they're able to get say maybe Justin Fields as their quarterback, because I think the Bears are going to wind up trading him. Or if maybe they get Russell Wilson, who the Broncos are getting rid of. And look, Russell's on the decline. But if they got a quarterback that could stabilize that unit, then yeah, then Gavin's gonna look like a champion, because I think they're just a quarterback away.
I'm in agreement with you there. I don't think the Falcons are going all the way. I think they lack some key components, like you were saying, especially the QB, the head of the team.
Sure.
But I think the Cardinals definitely could. The last time they went to the playoffs against the Rams, I have some sad memories from that, to say the least. That was far from one of their best performances. But like you were saying, I think they have the pieces. It's just, can they draft right? Can they play the off-season right? And with their new management and stuff, I definitely think they can. It's going to be a team to watch out for.
Yeah. Hey, well, let me ask you this. What's that Basha Bear football team looking like next year without DeMond Williams for the first time in 4 years?
Basha, right? They've had DeMond for 4 years now. He's been the starting QB at varsity ever since he was a freshman. And their backup quarterback currently is Karsten Lee, who should be the starter next year. And he hasn't seen the field a lot. So I have faith in him, right, as a Basha fan.
Come on, Carson, let's get it done.
But it's going to be interesting to see how he adapts to, filling into a team that, aside from DeMond, we didn't lose everybody. There's still a lot of receivers, linebackers that we have that are going to be seniors next year with Carson. So he has the players. It's just, will he fit the puzzle? That's how I would say. That's how I put it.
Hey, look, let me tell you something. The kid was phenomenal. I mean, some of the plays that I saw him make against teams like the Chandler Wolves or the Swirl Sabercats. I mean, he's special. He was special, and so I was happy to see that he was going to stay in the state until Jed Fish decided he wanted to leave. So, I didn't blame DeMond for leaving, but yeah, I would like this, and that's just a subject for another day. I'd love to see a lot more of our local stars stay home, but our home teams have to do what first?
They got to
win. There you go.
Good.
There you go.
Cole Martin, I don't know if you're
familiar with him. Absolutely. I mean, hey, man, Cole Martin was one of our Friday night he was on our all-fever team as a defensive back. I know who he is. Glad to see that he's coming home. Coming home. They're going to be a Sun Devil.
Cole, we'd love to have you on the show at some point. Ford sub, obviously Basha alumni. It's nice to have him back home, and for me, I'm glad to see some stars here that I can go watch.
Sure, absolutely.
Keep it at home. It's nice to have players like that, and it's nice to have, Cole, he's been a great influence on the community as well. I love to see, our Basha stars here become stars outside of just the football field or the basketball court. Speaking of the basketball court, I got to get your take on the Suns, Coop.
Oh, wow. You know what? I'll admit this. I mean, Frank Vogel, the Suns head coach, I mean, he's really starting to frustrate me, because I don't think that he's using the talent or the personnel on his team to maximize the Suns' success. And I'll give you an example. Because it drove me crazy. They were playing the Golden State Warriors, national ABC game. Steph Curry hits a three with 0.7 of a second left that gave the Warriors a 113-112 lead. So 0.7 of a second. All you can do is catch and shoot. All right? So, again, I'm going to tell you, I don't think that Frank Vogel uses the personnel on his team to maximize the Suns' success, because he ran out on the floor, obviously Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and at that point he had Grayson Allen and Eric Gordon all on the floor. All right, 0.7 of a second left. Now, the Warriors and Steve Kerr, they're going to have their guys make sure Devin Booker and Kevin Durant don't beat us. That's what they're saying. And so Draymond Green just shadowed and made it difficult for Durant to catch the ball. And so sure enough, the Suns didn't get off a shot. The Suns lose. So what could Frank Vogel have done? What I thought he should have done? He has a guy that's 7'3" on the floor in Bol Bol. put Bol in the game, you're giving the threat now of an alley-oop, throw from out of bounds. And so now Draymond Green is not going to smother Kevin Durant. And Andrew Wiggins is not going to smother Devin Booker because the threat of this 7'3", because we all remember the valley oop, right? Remember that valley oop into DeAndre Ayton
Against
to beat the Clippers?
yeah.
Against Clippers. Yeah, they threw it. That's what you do in those situations. If he just would have brought Bol in, you could have had either Booker or Durant or both come up, set a screen, and Bol rose to the basket. Everyone's looking at him. Now, whether Booker or Durant made the shot is irrelevant, but you used some personnel on your bench to help maximize the success of the team. And that's what I'm saying. I've been very critical of him, but I'll tell you this. Kevin Durant has said this. The NBA is a make-or-miss league, and the Suns have some extraordinary talent in Booker, Beal, and Durant who can put the ball in the basket. They can make the shot. So if you have that type of talent that can make baskets, the Suns are definitely a threat to do what Matt Ishbia wants them to be, NBA champions. And so, but if you're asking me what I've seen of the Suns, they've had a lot of guys that of the big three who missed a lot of games that kind of stunted their continuity or their chemistry. But they've started to put that together, and I think the Suns now are maybe 17 or 19-7 over the last 26 games, which is one of the better records in the NBA. So they are starting to put it together a little bit. But again, I just think that I'd like to see a better job from the bench by Frank Vogel myself.
Do you think part of the issues, though, stem from the trades made last year to just kind of rearrange the entire team, right? Shipping everybody off for KD and then shipping out your coach as well?
Well, let me put it to you like this. I mean, there's no question that Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson were two young studs. But anytime you got a chance to go get a superstar like Kevin Durant and be in that win-now mode, I really like that because I was also very critical of the Suns' previous owner, Robert Sarver. I mean, he certainly didn't – he certainly watched his purse strings or his wallet, if you will. He never gave you that impression that he was willing to spend above and beyond to get you a champion. Matt Ishbia has proven already in his short time that money is no object, and so whether they're making the right decisions is something else. But I tell you what, every Suns fan, they're loving their new owner because this guy is digging deep and he's spending whatever he can to get the Suns a winner. And so, I know people can be critical of the trade, but I certainly echoed it. I liked it.
I personally wasn't a fan. You're much more involved with the professional sports in that world, way more than I am, as much as I'm trying to get into it. So from just like more of a fan perspective than from what I was seeing, I just felt like when they were trading away some of those young players, it was kind of giving up your past and then setting up like your future. But with KD, and KD's nearing the end of his career too, I worried there as a fan about the longevity of this trade.
Yeah. Look, with giving up the young players and so many of their first-round draft picks going forward, sure, you can argue that the Suns certainly sacrificed their future for now. But Suns fans have been waiting over 50 years for a title. They want one now, and so I'm not ready to wait for these guys to grow or evolve into those difference makers. And keep in mind, people are going to come back and say, well, Coop, didn't Bridges and Cam Johnson help get the Suns to the NBA championship games, the finals, a couple years ago? Well, absolutely they did. And they fell short to the Bucks after taking a 2-0 lead. But
still makes me sad to this day.
But to have a shot maker, a guy that can command double teams like Kevin Durant. Hey, I've watched this guy too many times. I watched him win titles with Steph Curry and those guys with the Warriors. I mean, he's one of the best scorers the NBA has ever seen. And so there's no question that I like the trade. I even like Bradley Beal coming over because Beal can put the ball in the basket. But again, there's no question the guys are getting a little older, and so they're not being as healthy as they once were when they were youthful. So being healthy is certainly key and paramount, because we saw with Chris Paul, I mean, every playoff year, the guy got hurt.
Every time.
Yeah, I mean, it was just frustrating.
I hope that the Suns will have a better future with KD. This might be the year. We'll see. I'm personally a big Suns fan's right, but I'm also a big Lakers fan. The Lakers have been struggling a bit this
Hey, look, let me tell you something. Look, you have to tip your hat to what the Lakers have done, and you have to tip your hat to LeBron James. The guy's 39 years old, for crying out loud.
The best player of all time.
Yeah. Well, hey. Let's give respect to number 23 in Chicago red and white. Now, we know better than that. But seriously, LeBron James, I mean, this guy, he seems like he gets better with age. And which is insane. And yet, if he could get a guy named, and I know that he had the nickname Street Clothes, but Anthony Davis, I'll give him credit. He's playing a lot of healthy games this year. He's not missing very few. So as long as you got those two, and I know they recently picked up Spencer Dinwiddie in a buyout. You got Roy Hachimura and Austin Reeves. I wouldn't bet against the Lakers, but it would hurt me if they beat the Phoenix Suns. I'm not going to lie.
We'll see. It's a win-win for me either way. And Coop, thank you for that. But before you go, I got to ask you, we're talking about all Arizona sports. Thoughts on your D-backs, what they're doing, how they're playing.
Wow. Hey, let me tell you something. What I saw last year, it just blew me away. I thought the Diamondbacks had the talent to make the playoffs, but I'm just thinking they're going to be maybe a one-and-done team.
Sure.
Well, they swept the Brewers. Oh, okay, great. Now we got. Oh my goodness, we got those division rival Dodgers coming in, and so I'm just praying that they don't jump in our pool this time. But for crying out loud, they swept the Dodgers, and I was done right there. Hey man, we can stop it right now. It's over. Yeah, I'm good. Torey Lovello, great job. I mean, it's all good in the hood. So then when they fall down 3-2 to the Phillies, and games 6 and 7 are in Philadelphia, okay. Hey, look, I'm proud of you guys. You guys did it. Well, they won Game 6 in Philly. Oh, these crazy spunky Diamondbacks. There's no way they're going to win Game 7.
Boom.
Oh my gosh. Hey, look, I was elated, and so to see that this team, it reminded me so much of the '76 Phoenix Suns team, and I know you don't know anything about that. But I absolutely. I was a young kid watching the Suns in '76. They had no business even making the playoffs, but they did. And then they had no business. The Golden State Warriors with Rick Barry, they were the reigning champions. The Suns beat those guys. They made it to the finals against the Celtics. And it's like, they're not going to beat the Celtics. And then in Game 5, I'm sure you remember Game 5. You've probably seen the highlights. Because you weren't even born at that time. You weren't even thought at that. But Garfield Hurd made a shot in the center game in a triple overtime. It was one of the greatest games in NBA history. And the Suns eventually lost to the Celtics in that series. But they had no business being there. This Diamondback team had no business being in the World Series. And yet here they were. And now I'm like, hey, let's go ahead and finish the job. I felt they should have won the first 2 games in Texas, but they blew one late, so they came home 1-1, and the next 3 games are in Phoenix. And yeah, I was there. Channel 12 called me back. NBC Phoenix called me back to do pregame with them for games 3, 4, and 5 out on the plaza. So I did that, and let me tell you something. The crowd was just, I mean, the line to get in for Game 3, it went all the way back to the Suns arena. I mean, people in the street just waiting to get in. That's how maniacal, that's how excited this valley was for World Series here.
World Series for any sport. We're desperate for a win out here.
Yeah, dude. And I'm telling you something. Games 3, 4, and 5, Texas Rangers never gave our fans a chance to really explode and get excited like we saw against the Dodgers, like we saw against the Phillies. And so that was a crime in it all. But look, they're a better team this year. I love some of the moves that Mike Hazen has made to upgrade the roster. So they're a better team this year. So now, do I expect them necessarily to repeat and make it to the World Series? Not necessarily, but I do expect them to not be the last wild card team that just goes down to the final day to get in. I expect the Diamondbacks to be a team that will, let's say, be the top wild card spot because those stinking Dodgers, they went out and they signed some guy named I'm so mad at Ohtani. I mean, dude, why are you only taking, and I'm obviously embellishing or exaggerating this, why are you only taking a penny out of your contract and allowing them to spend more money on other players? I mean, the Dodgers spent over $1 billion, $1.1 billion on 3 players.
It's insane.
It's
ridiculous. I think we can definitely see them back in the World Series. I mean, I feel like a lot of Arizona sports have the potential right now. They have the players, they have the coaches, they have the staff, they have the money. Now we just got to execute. And I think we're close to seeing that one day. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Coop, final question before we let you go. Where did your catchphrase come? Your signature say?
Well, I have so many people that tell me that I say, I tell you what. I mean, I can walk into a press box or anything, and I get so much business. People will see me instead of saying, "Hey, Coop, how you doing?" It's like, I tell you what. I don't know. I don't know how that came to be. I even tell the people that I never say that, and yet then they call me out when I do say it. I don't know. It's just something that comes along, and I can't even answer that. I don't even know. But I get kid about it a lot.
Coop, it's been a pleasure. We'd love to have you back on in the future to discuss more sports.
Jayden, my pleasure. And here's the deal. I understand this man right here does play-by-play for your Basha Bears football, basketball. He's going to do volleyball, do a little baseball as well. Hey, I expect to see this guy at some point in my living room.
Me?
This guy. I expect this guy at some point when I'm in my living room a few years down the road, turn on my TV to watch a play-by-play of a Suns game or whatever. I expect to see this guy behind the mic. He's our future. He's good. You guys do a good job over here at Basha. Impressed.
Thank you, Coop. Seriously, that means a lot. Cameras aside, thank you. That's something I hope to do and be out there one day, just like you. And
he's a look for a guy to go out and get that many reps because he's passionate about what he does and what he wants to do. He already knows what he wants to do. He's going to be there, people.
Coop, thanks for coming on. Viewers, thank you for tuning in to our second episode of Basha Table Talk. We'll be back in 2 weeks for our third episode. Right then, we will be talking high school basketball. It'll be in the thick of the playoffs. We're going to have some great interviews for you then. Coop will hopefully one day return, but for now,
I'll be back.
Make sure to reach out to us on Instagram, Twitter with any feedback. Like and subscribe down below. Leave any comments. I'm Jayden Ricken. This has been Coop. I'll tell you what, we will see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in.